guys? Welcome back to the Training Camp Podcast.
The Training Camp Podcast.
I got a new chair.
With a multitude of guests.
Can't say he's wrong, am I right?
Oh, yeah. Dolphins.
No, I really like.
Stupid games.
5-0 last week. That's right. 5-0. Dak Prescott.
You could lock up that 4 seed. Again, it's not blazing hot, 65 degrees. I'm going to do this for fun.
They threw to Michael Thomas.
The Heat. How? Chicago. Yes, you guys get an F.
And a little too much personality.
No. Last week. No, Ravens?
Oh, fuck. Give me that.
No way. There's no way. Hammering. Free. Really, do not talk about him.
This one's my fault.
Flex the game. Here we go.
Hey, guys. Welcome back to the Training Camp. I don't know why that came off very Canadian. Hey, guys. How are ya? Okay, so welcome to... Yeah, 90% of the people that don't watch this normally just went, all right, I'm done. All right, welcome to Training Camp Podcast. Let's see. What's new in the world? Like my world before we hop into sports? Nothing? It's warm now in Utah, like consistently, like too fucking warm. Like it's gonna be in the 90s next week, so that sucks. But yeah, I have nothing to report on. You guys aren't here for that anyway. You're here to talk about sports. So let's hop into news of the week. We don't have that much this week, honestly, because the two main segments we're gonna talk about are basically the bigger stuff. All right, so number one. So Wayne Gretzky, he's gonna be hosting a TNT NHL show in the fall, which I think is awesome. I am a hockey fan. I'm a Penguins fan. Not bandwagon. Listen, not bandwagon. Okay, my family's originally from Pittsburgh, so like I got blood in the Pirates. Yes, the Pirates. We've talked about it. Hate it, but they're my team. Pirates, Steelers, and Penguins. So I do love hockey, but I think one of the things that sucks is like hockey does not. The NHL as a league does not do a very good job advertising the league itself because. I don't actually know why, because hockey is a very fun sport to watch both live and especially like the Stanley Cup. I love watching the Stanley Cup, and I think the NHL has not done a very good job marketing the league towards newer viewers. But now that they signed a contract with ESPN and TNT, maybe that'll change. I think getting Wayne Gretzky, obviously like arguably the greatest hockey player to ever play, to be an analyst and a host is a really, really smart move for them, especially because it might draw in older fans to like a bigger market TV station like TNT, which obviously they have NBA on TNT, and so that'll be good. And also it might introduce a lot of the younger players or the younger fans to kind of ease more into hockey. So I think that's awesome. I think that there needs to be more nationally televised hockey games because I think people would genuinely, especially like because hockey comes on at a time where like sports are kind of in a drought because it's like, all right, well, football, like. Usually the Stanley Cup is like, all right, well, football isn't starting yet, and the NBA just ended, and MLB isn't really in the postseason yet. So, like, it's such a good spot to be in. So I think that they should take full advantage of it, and I'm hoping this is good for hockey because I do like watching NHL games, and especially the playoffs because just the atmosphere is awesome. And also going to hockey games, Utah, here in Utah, we have the Utah Grizzlies. Love going to Utah Grizzly games. Yeah. All right, number two, Brady. So the match has been set. Part 3 at this point so we have Brady and Mickelson on a team against Rodgers and DeChambeau. This is going to be so much fun. I really wish that they would have gotten Koepka instead of Mickelson, but it's like it kind of makes sense because you got like the younger guys in Rodgers and DeChambeau. And then you have the vets in Brady and Mickelson. Love it already. I mean, this got announced just like an hour or two ago, and Brady's already like trash talking hella. I mean, he called Aaron Rodgers a Jeopardy host, so I love it. Again, very similar to NHL. I do love golf. I go golfing every single summer, and just when it's warm, I love golfing a lot. Not saying I'm amazing, but I do enjoy golfing, and I think it's a really fun way to spend a weekend with buddies. And me and JP and like Easton, you guys don't know Easton, but Easton and I went golfing a couple times last year. JP and I want to go a little bit this year, so love golfing. I watched the match last year. It was so much fun. I'm really looking forward to this, but like I said, I really thought, especially with what just happened between DeChambeau and Koepka, I thought it would have been way better if they would have gotten Koepka to be on Team Rodgers or on Team Brady. That would have been so funny because it would have been like a real rivalry, and it probably would have been some actual tension. Would have loved that. Now, looking forward to this. I know probably none of you guys are, though, because you guys are strictly football fans. Because if I talk about anything else, you guys hate it. Speaking of football, Vinatieri, the greatest kicker of all time and the NFL all-time points leader, Officially announced his retirement today. I think it was on the Pat McAfee show. It sucks, man. It makes me feel old because my entire life, Vinatieri has been in the NFL. It's kind of like how once, Big Ben retires, I will not really have remembered a time before Big Ben as the Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback. Obviously, I was born before he was, but I don't really remember. I was too damn young to remember the Cordell Stewart years. But in my entire life, Vinatieri has been the guy, the guy. And so now it's kind of like my parents, like my dad and my mom talking about Gary Anderson. I can respect it, but I can't experience it. And so now whenever, hopefully I have kids, when I'm talking to them, I'm going to be talking about Vinatieri, how my parents talked about Gary Anderson. Oh, this is the greatest kicker of all time. He's the all-time points leader. And also just one of the clutchest guys ever. And so, it sucks, but good for him too, because he's 53. And so the fact that he could, play football at that age. I know he's only a kicker, but still, it's still a very fast-paced sport. You still have 11 men running at you at full speed trying to kill you. So it's very impressive, but we already know that Brady's probably going to play till he's 70 at this point because he saw, what's that? Vinatieri has the record for oldest player, 53? Okay, easy. 10 years away? Easy. Oh my God. When Brady's 10 years from now, and Brady's 55, I'll be 30. That's nuts. Hate that thought. Okay, let's keep going. And then lastly, news of the week, the NFL did announce that NFL stadiums will be at max capacity this year. Love that. I'd love to go to a game, specifically the Chargers-Steelers game in Los Angeles with my boy JP, but tickets are hella expensive. Not expensive, the cheapest ticket for nosebleed, yeah, $250. What are you doing, SoFi? I understand. The Chargers are probably the future. I understand it's LA. Maybe this, JP, this is, okay, Japes, this is a bit at this point. Seriously? Really? Really, Japes? That's wild. So, where was I? Oh yeah, Chargers, Steelers. Yeah, no, I know it's the Steelers, one of the greatest franchises in the history of the sport, but can we drop the tickets? Because your ticket prices for the Denver Chargers game in SoFi are $90 at the cheapest. Can we do that? I don't know. We'll see what happens. But no, that's awesome. The max capacity. I think it's really weird, especially watching the NBA right now. The NBA is slowly letting in more people, especially those who are vaccinated, and so you're seeing these stadiums start to get fuller and fuller and fuller. And at first it was really weird because I'm not. I haven't been used to that for about a year, but it's kind of nice because you'll see a big shot get hit, and you're used to just the announcer being and James for 3, and then just silence. But now you can you hear the live fans, and Amona went to the Jazz game. He went to game 1 of the Jazz Memphis series, and so it's really nice to be able to experience that again, whether you're watching it and you hear the crowd or you're live and you get to be a part of that crowd. So I think it's awesome. I think it'll be a little what's the word? It's it'll be a little when it first starts because we're not used to it, but then I think it'll ease us back in. I think it'll make the season a lot better. Okay, let's hop into it. Yeah, we're gonna talk about it. The Lakers? No, the other LA team. That's right, the Clippers, bro. Okay, flashback, rewind with me. Two years ago, I'm sitting, and the Nets are the Nets are hey, we just got KD from the Warriors in a signing trade. I'm damn, that's a pretty interesting team. And the Clippers said, oh, that's interesting. How about we sign Kawhi? I'm oh, that's also kind of interesting. And then the Nets said, you know what? Let's add Kyrie too. And I was oh. And the Clippers said, you know what? Let's trade literally everything for Paul George. And I was oh. This is really interesting. Maybe the Clippers Nets are going to be in the finals for the next 5 years. No, I wouldn't be surprised if the Clippers aren't even in the playoffs in 5 years from now. Okay, let's talk about the game. So you guys are now down the Clippers. As if the Clippers ownership is watching this. Down 2-0. You've lost home court advantage, and you guys just look bad. Okay, let's talk about this. You're you guys are the worst closers somehow. You guys have like one of the best mid-range shooters in the league, and you also have a really good shooter in Paul George, and you guys can't score in the last 3 to 5 minutes of the series or of just games. I mean, this isn't even just a playoffs thing. This was happening in the regular season. First 2 games, you guys are being outscored 24-15 in the final 3 minutes. Yeah, 24-15 against the horribly built defensive team of the Mavericks. Mavericks might have offense, but they are not good defensively at all. So you guys being outscored by that, and you're also not locking the Mavericks down offensively. What? Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, 2 of the best wing defenders, arguably, in the NBA. Zubac, one of the best stretch men in the NBA, especially defensively because of his length. And then Pat Bev, like, this should not be. I mean, Nicholas Batum is honestly a very underrated defender. So it's like, what are we doing? What are we doing? I think between Kawhi and Paul George, you guys should be able to figure out who guards Luka and who guards Porzingis. Like, in my mind, the way that this gets fixed is not fixed, but a good way to ensure, because you guys have been in the games. It's just the last 5 minutes, you guys fall apart both offensively and defensively. And so, you want to hold him defensively. I think, honestly, putting Kawhi on, I know Luka is the better player between Porzingis and Kawhi, but Porzingis doesn't like to post up. So that's easily the Clippers' benefit. You put Kawhi on Porzingis because Kawhi's a little more height than PG, but PG on Luka. Obviously, PG is not going to just lock up Luka. That's not a knock on PG. That's a compliment to Luka. But now that you have size on Porzingis, who hates being in the post, you don't have to worry about the strength game. You don't have to worry about a 7'2" guy going against what's Kawhi, 6'9"? You don't have to worry about that because Porzingis loves to sit on the perimeter, and so you're locking that down. Okay, cool. Yeah, Tim Hardaway had a really good game last night, but he is one of the most. He'll give you. Kenny Beecham said it. King in the fourth quarter said it like really, really good. He's like, you know what? Hardaway will give you like 30 for a week, and then the next week average like 11. Like, and it's so true, and that could happen in this series. And you know what? If I'm the Clippers and I get beat by Tim Hardaway Jr. and Willie Cauley-Stein, I can live with that. Because I know that I at least, lock down Luka and Porzingis. It's kind of like the Suns series. Like if CP went down and the Lakers were to lose the series, like, okay, you're being beaten by Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton, and a bunch of role players, like very, very young players and role players. Okay, you can live with that because it's not like you weren't, locking down the best players. But if Luka is feasting on you guys, and then now Porzingis is feasting on you guys, hello? Then yeah, the rhythm is going to translate over to other players like Willie Cauley-Stein, like Tim Hardaway Jr., like Jalen Brunson. Like that's just going to happen. And you guys are now 0-5 in your last five playoff games, Los Angeles. Like what? And what? Like I don't understand. And the fact that all of Luka's playoff experience is against the Clippers, wild. 8 games, 3 wins. That's nuts. And I just think the Clippers. The reason the Clippers are falling apart in my eyes is that in this offseason, they focused way too much on building a team that can defensively slow down LeBron and the Lakers, and they forgot, oh, wait, we have to score. And so, yes, I know they were one of the most offensively efficient teams in the NBA this year, but also they were resting players, so it's much different. But now that comes playoff time and you need your best scorers on the court all the time, guess what? They're not used to playing those minutes. So now they're going to get gassed, and then when the last 5 minutes comes in, they're gassed, and they're either not going to make their shots or they're going to choose really, really bad shots to take. So it's like, I see what you're doing, Los Angeles, but you forgot one of the bigger things. You guys are like, all right, we're going to lock down LeBron. And then they were like, all right, cool, so how are we going to score? And the Clippers like, what? We have to what? Score? No, we just lock down LeBron. And then Anthony Davis like, we're good, right? I think that's how you win. Just hold them. Well, what about like scoring? Oh, we'll figure that out later. Scoring, what's that? We got Kawhi. We got PG. That's essentially what was happening. Yeah, honestly, though, the Clippers probably... I don't see them getting out of the first round, man. Down 2-0, next 2 games in Dallas. Like I said with kind of the NFL and how they're like easing in more fans. There's going to be more fans in the stadium in Dallas, and these are fans who are desperate for a playoff win and would love to see a playoff win. And I don't know, man, Dallas is like... has that atmosphere of a winning culture. I mean, you go back to like the Dirk days of what 2000 was it 11? Where Dallas was kind of like one of the better teams, if not one of the best teams in the West, and the fans were always there. They were always rooting on. When they went to the finals, the fans were always sold out, and so like. This is not going to be an easy series for the Clippers. Now, I'm not saying that the Clippers can't take 2 games in Dallas, but damn, is that going to be hard because you can't take 2 games in your own like home court. There's no shot you guys are going to take 2 games in Dallas. And so, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if they took 1, but I do see this being set up in a very 3-1 situation. But the Clippers are not able, like, if the Clippers are down 3-1 and they're able to come back, like, yeah, there'll be a bunch of memes like, oh, they were down 3-1 last year and then they came back, blah, 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 blah. But like, you guys shouldn't have been down 3-1 in the first place. If anything, you guys should be up 3-1 at some point in the series. But I mean, no hope now. Your best hope for that is 3-2. So I don't know, man. This is one of the things that like. I don't know how they fix this. I don't know what adjustments they make because, like, watching them, when you watch an NBA game, you're like, oh, okay, cool. I can see why this is happening. When I'm watching the Clippers, which me and JP watched the Lakers game and the Clippers game last night, and I'm watching the Lakers, I'm like, Lakers and the Suns, and they're both like, okay, I can see why they're making these adjustments. I can see why they're running this play. I can see what's happening. And then with the Mavericks, I'm like, okay, I can kind of understand what's going on here. With the Clippers, I'm like, what are you, like, maybe, okay. And then the Clippers also like love to just not take they love to deflect the blame. Like, all right, Doc Rivers was a problem. Let's fire him. Okay, cool. Now Doc Rivers is the first seed in the East. I know it's the East, but still, like he fixed what seemed like an unfixable relationship between Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. All right, cool. The issue was Lou Williams. All right, cool. Lou Williams just kind of helped Atlanta win their first playoff game this year and overcame, everyone thought was going to be an easy New York series. Okay, the problem was Montrezl Harrell. Well, Montrezl is balling out in the other team in Los Angeles right now. Yeah, he's kind of got the same role that he had with you guys last year, but he's having a little more success on the team. So it's like, maybe you guys with the problem? And like, honestly, I remember, so yeah, they got the players 2 years ago. So 3 years ago, like, watching this team with Gallinari, Shea, oh God, I forgot his name. Oh, fuck. But just the younger players, and then Lou Will, Montrez, like, they had such a fun team, and they were the 8 seed against the Warriors, I believe. And, like, kind of, people were like, could the Clippers upset the Warriors? And then, like, I think they lost in 6 in that series. But, like, that was such a fun team to watch. I was like, you know what? Good for these guys. And then when they got PG and Kawhi, I was like, good for these guys. And then they started to talk, and I was like, don't like that. And then they started to lose, and I was like, that's not good. And now they're down 0-2, and I'm like, this is bad. So, I mean, not only is being down 0-2 a horrible situation, but you're kind of putting your franchise in a really, really iffy situation because, I mean, if you told Kawhi 2 years ago, okay, cool, yeah, you're going to go to Los Angeles with Paul George, and they're like, what? And you get to basically keep that bench for the first year. You'd be like, what? And then you go, yeah, but you don't get out of the second round the first year and probably not the first round the second year, and you basically trade away the entire future so you have no draft picks. Kawhi'd be like, I'll probably just stay in Toronto and win the East for the next 3 years, but thanks for the offer, Los Angeles. And so, yeah, the Clippers are in a really shitty situation where it's like they'd have no future. The Thunder own their future. They don't have very many promising young players, and their front office seems to be lost. And if I had to guess, I really don't see Paul George or Kawhi re-signing once their contracts are up, because like, why would you? If I'm Kawhi and Paul George, I go back to the East because LeBron is most likely going to not get better, but it's LeBron. He's probably going to run the West, or at least be one of the top seeds there. Golden State, I know that they didn't make the playoffs this year, but they're getting Wiseman back. They're going to have other draft picks. They're going to get Klay Thompson back. They're probably going to make moves because the Warriors are not a very rebuild-esque team right now, and they don't seem like they have that culture that they want to rebuild. So they're going to be back. The Grizzlies are one of the best up-and-coming teams right now. You have the team that you're down 0-2 right now, Dallas. Like, they're one of the best teams right now. The Jazz are the 1 seed. The Nuggets as well. Like, that was, 6 teams alone that are probably going to be better than you next season? Not to count, the Trailblazers are probably going to get better. Like, there are the Suns, I forget, the number 2 seed. Like, there are so many teams that are just going to get better, but you guys are most likely just going to get worse. So you guys definitely had your window. I think last year was probably the perfect time for it. You can make whatever excuses you guys want. Like, oh, well, there was a bubble, so it wasn't any fans. Well, you had fans this year. and you blew the first 2 games at home. So don't want to hear it. It sucks though, because I do want the Clippers. I feel bad for Clippers fans, man, because you guys like the unluckiest franchise ever. And I once they got Paul George and Kawhi, I was like, okay, they'll probably reach one final. I thought they would reach one final minimum, and they haven't done. Oh, Zidane left Real Madrid. That's wild. Well, and when you don't win a trophy, that's kind of gonna happen. Anyway, hello, Bleacher Report, chill. You're not JP. You can't just interrupt the podcast. So yeah, no, I feel bad for Clippers fans, but Clippers, man, kind of feel bad for you guys too. But also at the same time, you put yourself in the situation. All right, next segment, we're gonna talk about Julio Jones because no big news around him or anything. So stick around for that. All right, guys, welcome back to the Training Camp Podcast. If you missed it in the first leg, we talked about news of the week as well as the whole Clippers situation, both the present and the future of the Clippers. So now let's talk about, no one's kind of, I don't think anyone, has anyone been, I don't think so. I don't think anyone's talked about this. Yeah, so I guess Julio Jones doesn't want to be in Atlanta anymore. I'm probably breaking news for you. No. So, yeah, first there was all the reports that they were shopping him, and then it came out that he actually requested the trade, and then his ass literally said, I'm out of there. So, yeah, let's talk about this Julio situation. So, first of all, I don't think it's like a situation where Julio doesn't want to be in Atlanta. I think it's, his contract doesn't put him there. Atlanta's probably not going to be winning in the future, and Atlanta does respect Julio enough where they're probably going to ship him where he'd like to go. But, Atlanta's also going to have to ship somewhere where it puts their franchise in a better position to succeed. I think this is one of the reasons they took Kyle Pitts this year, was because they knew that they were going to lose Julio, and they wanted to kind of replace someone somewhat of that caliber. And Kyle Pitts as a tight end, is very similar because he's a big body and he's a very, very fast tight end who honestly some people are like, he could be a wide receiver. And so, I think, that was one of the big reasons why they took Kyle Pitts. I think it should have been more evident that when we figured out they were taking Kyle Pitts, that Julio likely wasn't going to be there. Because, if Julio was going to stay, that would be really amazing to have, Julio, Ridley, Kyle Pitts, and then, if they needed Hayden Hurst, they could use him. But those 3 alone are 3, the best weapons if, of course, Kyle Pitts stays up to what he's been, hyped up to be. But, yeah, so then that happens. Julio's hard because, a lot of people are saying, I would easily, if I was the GM of, insert favorite team here, I would give up a first for Julio. But, I think we're moving away from the area, the time of where skill position players go for firsts. I think the only people who will likely go for firsts are quarterbacks. Once Deshaun Watson eventually gets moved and, if Aaron Rodgers was going to be moved, they would probably have a bunch of firsts thrown at them. Or Russell Wilson, they would have firsts. But in this situation, skill positions can be easily replaced within the next 2 years. Obviously, that talent can't be, but you can get someone of good talent within the next couple of years. I think the Steelers are kind of a good example of this. They lost AB, and I'm not saying anybody on the Steelers roster right now is AB, but between, Deontay Johnson, who's probably going to be a future star in the NFL, Chase Claypool, who's looking like a future star in the NFL, Juju Smith-Schuster, who's already kind of a proven guy, and James Washington, who's a good, fourth option, essentially. And now Eric Ebron and Pat, the tight end they just drafted this year in the second round, they have weapons. And so, Pittsburgh people are like, oh, Pittsburgh only got a third for Antonio Brown. Well, okay, I know that the Texans got a 2 for DeAndre Hopkins. And that's better value. I think Pittsburgh probably could have gotten a 2, but, going back to the Julio situation, I think we're at the point now where skill positions, mainly wide receivers and running backs, are probably going to start just going, why am I yawning? I'm not even tired. Skill positions are going to start going for, middle to upper second round picks and a couple thirds, which I think is fair, especially in Julio's situation. Julio, he's 32. He's been injured every single season. He hasn't even played a full season in a while. He still has the talent. I'm not gonna say he doesn't have the talent, but it's really hard to you mortgage somewhat of your future for a player that you're not sure is gonna play the entire season. I think good examples of trading first round picks are players that pan out for you. The DeForest Buckner trade that definitely helped out the Colts, and you're not gonna get a player at what pick did they have, 23 or something like that. You're not going to have a player that good at available, of DeForest Buckner's ability available at 23, going back to the Steelers, not just become a Steelers fan, but it's a good example. Giving up your first-round pick for Minkah Fitzpatrick, you're not going to get someone of Minkah's caliber at, I think they would have had the 16th pick in that draft. So it's smart because you're getting a player who can help you both now and also in the future. But, Julio's hard because you don't know how much he's going to help you now. If you're trading a first-round pick, you want a player who's going to help you 17 out of 17 games in a season, but when you're trading someone to only help you out 17 games in 3 years or 17 games in 2 years, it's not really worth it. Now if Julio played if he played a full season, I think a lower first in the draft would actually be a pretty good bargain, like a first and like maybe a fifth. That's good. But because of injury history, I think his asking price should start. I'm not saying like the peak of it, but it should start at like a second and a fourth, and then maybe even a third. And especially looking at teams that are going to be because there's going to be a lot of teams desperate. I'm going to give you my best fit in the teams that I think that should be aggressive. But the team I'm going to talk about right now that I don't think should trade for him, even though a lot of teams think he should, or a lot of people think he should. I don't think Baltimore should trade for Julio because they can't afford to mortgage more of their future. They've already lost their tackle. Why am I yawning? Jesus. They've already lost their tackle this year in a trade, and the O-line is not getting much better. They will get, who was it that went down? Trent Brown. Their left tackle that went down earlier in the season. They're going to get him back, obviously, from injury. But, you need to be protecting Lamar. You also probably need to work on the defense a little bit because the defense will be aging. Calais Campbell's not getting any younger. You're going to have some contract expiring. You have to replace some of those players. And so I don't think Baltimore can really afford to do it, especially because you're only going to get Julio probably for 2 years, maybe 3. And it's like a situation where, like I said, he's not going to play 17 games, but a rookie will, and a rookie will also get better throughout time. You'll have that rookie for a minimum of 5 years. Really? Bleacher Report, you're not JP. Oh, God, wait, hold up. 10 most depressed fan bases for the MLB. All right. What you got for me, Bleacher Report? Number 1 should be the Pirates. 10 is the Diamondbacks. 9, the Phillies. 8, the A's. Well, not Oakland much longer. The Royals is 7. Baltimore is 6. Minnesota's 5. All right, boys. Pittsburgh's in the top 5. Los Angeles Angels 4. That's so true. Detroit Tigers 3. Pittsburgh Pirates 2. Who'd you put above us? The Rockies? Why the Rockies? That's stupid. The Rockies should be like 8. Nah, Pittsburgh literally. Yeah, 6 straight losing season. Love that. Anyway. No, so you guys just clicked off so fast. I just don't think that the Ravens can afford it. And they also just got Rashad Bateman. They have Marquise Brown, who I think is a good talent. They just haven't been utilizing him correctly. He's not there anymore. It's still Willie Snead. Mark Andrews is a great tight end. I think J.K. Dobbins is going to evolve. So, maybe next year they take another wide receiver like in the second or third round. But they're going to have to start, like I said, do you want a rookie player that's going to last you 5 years, or do you want Julio Jones, who his contract's, I think, 2 years, and you're not going to get 24 games or 30. You're not going to get 32 games out of him. Maybe you get 24. Meanwhile, a rookie player, you'll probably get you'll get 5 seasons of 16. I'm not going to do that math. Fuck it, I am. Let's see, that's 15 times 4 is 60. 15 times 5 is 75. And then we have 5 extras. That's 80 right there. That's 80 games from a rookie. You're not going to get that from Julio Jones. Julio Jones also probably doesn't re-sign with you guys. There's no point to do it. Anyway, spent too long on that. The best fit, I think, for Julio is the Chargers. I think the Chargers can afford it. I also think that the Chargers have the best chance to retain him once his contract is up. And the Chargers are not in a situation where they're going to rely on Julio, where they can. It's a good thing if they have Julio, 7 to 8 times a season, because where the Ravens, their second option would then be either Hollywood Brown or Rashad Bateman or, Mark Andrews, arguably. But the Chargers, their second option would be Keenan Allen. Great second option. And, okay, let's say Keenan Allen gets hurt and you have Julio. Your second option is going to be Mike Williams. Great second option when he's healthy. And also the Chargers have proven to have a really good depth at wide receiver. And now that they don't have Hunter Henry, I think a third option would be really, really good for them. They could run a bunch of spread sets. And Justin Herbert really, if you get someone that has the playmaking ability that Julio Jones has, that really, really helps out Justin Herbert. And, now that Justin Herbert also has more time because they upgraded the offensive line, they're getting defensive players back. I think if Julio goes to the Chargers, which I think is the best fit for him, not only do they have the best chance to retain him because it's LA, you're going to want to live in LA. And also, you're in a brand new stadium. You're in an up and coming market, and most likely the future of LA. I know everyone likes the Rams, but the Chargers are much younger. They have a brighter future, hopefully. It's at least shaping out to be that way. And so I think Julio like that. And also, the Chargers can then next year draft, because Keenan Allen's not young. He's not old, but he's not young. And Mike Williams, he's not young either. And so next year they can draft a wide receiver, maybe in the second or third round, who then can be mentored by Julio in Julio's last season if Julio doesn't want to resign. Or maybe Julio just, wants to finish his career as a Charger or something like that. I think the Chargers are best fit. But I do think there are teams that should go after Julio. The Colts, I think, again, it just makes sense. If you want to make Carson Wentz's transition to being an Indianapolis Colt, then this is the best way to do it. Also, I mean, again, I don't think you should give up a first for Julio, but the Colts are one of the few teams that can do it, because I think if you give up a first for Julio, if they win, I think, is it 9 games, then Carson Wentz, the trade pick that they were getting from Philadelphia, turns into a 1. So you're essentially not losing a draft pick. I wouldn't give up a 1 this year for Julio, because you could probably give up a 2 and a 3 and then have 2 first-round picks next year, which would be awesome for you guys. But to make his transition better, that means, T.Y., who's also always hurt, he can be a number 2. He doesn't have to He doesn't have to kill his body so much. You get a Michael Pittman as number 3, and that's great for Michael Pittman because that helps his development. He doesn't have to be rushed into the limelight. I think that's kind of one of the things that helped. I hate talking about Steelers this much, but like Juju Smith-Schuster, at the time when he was drafted as a 3 because you had A.B., Martavis Bryant, and Juju Smith-Schuster. I think that's one of the things that helped develop Juju into the player that he is now, and especially the player he was in the first 2 years, which everyone was like, yeah, Juju's good. Now everyone just call him TikTok boy, but he actually has talent. And I think the thing that helped him out was, there wasn't pressure to be a number 1 or even a number 2. And I think if Michael Pittman's in that situation, that's really, really good for the Colts. Next team, the Titans. I don't know how the Titans will pull this off cap-wise. You'd have to have a bunch of players restructure. But I'm really worried about them. Me and JP talked about this in the last time we came on the pod. Make sure you guys check that out. But, with losing Arthur Smith too, funny enough, the Falcons, I'm very worried about how the offense is going to look. I think that's one of the reasons, I don't think it's the full reason that Ryan Tannehill got fixed, but I think that Arthur Smith is a big reason that Ryan Tannehill kind of flourished after leaving Miami. And so, I think adding in Julio Jones to that transition, again, it helps them out a lot. And it's nice when you have a most likely Hall of Fame wide receiver, and also most likely, if they stay on this path, really, Bleacher Report, are you serious? Most likely Hall of Fame running back in Derrick Henry, because, okay, cool, well, the pass game is working out, so let's rely on one of the best running backs in the game right now. Okay, the run game's not working out, let's rely on one of the best wide receivers and one of the most efficient quarterbacks in the game right now. So I think that's a good place for him to land. I think the Titans shouldn't go after him too much, though, because their defense is a little more important right now, because their defense is not... They had some good pickups this season, but they're still not going to be a very good defense in my eyes. I'm going to save that team for last, because that's probably the most important team on this list. The next 3 teams are actually going to be teams that have rookie quarterbacks in them. Number 1, the Jaguars. I think the Jaguars could definitely do this. I think the Jaguars are actually one of the best spots to do it, too, because you're helping out Trevor Lawrence. And my asking price, like I said, it's probably a 2 and either a 3 or a 4, and I think that the Jags could throw in a young player. I think Laviska Shenault could be a great player for them to give up. I think that they could acquire Julio Jones without having to give up like DJ Chark. And I think if you have DJ Chark as well as Julio Jones as your weapons, that's great. And it sounds like they're basically going to use Etienne as like a slot receiver. So you have Etienne, Julio, and DJ Chark. That's great with James Robinson in the backfield. And honestly, I think the Jaguars are in a great situation because they could probably get Gardner Minshew. They could probably include Gardner Minshew in that trade. And Gardner Minshew could be the future of Atlanta. I think that's a real thing that can happen. If Atlanta, obviously next year's draft class, I think the quarterbacks are going to be, there's going to be quarterbacks in the first round because there always are, but I think they're going to be a little overrated because this isn't a very good quarterback draft class. And so there's going to be teams that reach. I don't think Atlanta wants to be one of those teams. So if you get Gardner Minshew the more I think about this, the more I actually really like it. If you get, Gardner Minshew and Laviska Shenault in that trade with a 2 and a 4, or maybe even like a 3 for Julio, you guys win that. I don't think that the Jags will give that much. I think probably a 2 and a 5 with Gardner and Laviska. I think that's a great package, though, because you can have Gardner sit behind, one of the, a veteran quarterback and MVP in Matt Ryan for a couple years and then get better. And I think that's actually really smart. And the more I talk about this, I actually like that trade a lot for both teams. because you're not mortgaging your future, and you're also not you're not losing too much. So the Jags aren't mortgaging their future too much, and then the Atlanta is also kind of saving their future a little bit with like getting Gardner Minshew, who I think is a really, really underrated quarterback and deserves to have a starting role in the NFL. Next, the Jets, I think, again, very similar. They have the space and they have the picks to acquire him, and I just think this is the best thing that they can do to help out Zach Wilson. I think you're in a really, really hard division defensively. If you have 3 great defensive teams in that division, and it's going to be really hard to win more than 6 games in Zach Wilson's first year. But I think that getting Julio Jones will really help him out a lot. I'm not going to expand on it too much because it's very similar to what I was talking about the Jags. And then the Niners, not only can the Niners, I don't think Trey Lance should start the season. I think it should be Jimmy for the first 6 games. And then, oh my God, can we stop Bleacher Report? Now we're talking about the Titans star, A.J. Brown, talking about Julio Jones, whatever. We're talking about the Titans. The Niners, I think they should start Jimmy Garoppolo and then ease Trey Lance into it like week 8 or something like that. And I think, again, if you have a wide receiver like Julio Jones and then you have like Brandon, they don't have Brandon Ayuk anymore, he's on the Patriots. But if you have Deebo Samuel on the other side and you have some healthy running backs, then you're putting your rookie quarterback in a good situation to succeed. And I don't think the Niners are going to be this great team. I would take the under for them on the season win totals just because, rookie quarterback and changing system, new defensive coordinator. I think that's going to have a minor step back, but I think that's just really, really good for Trey Lance. Again, not going to go too much into that because I kind of expanded mostly on his how it helps out rookie quarterbacks when I talk about the Jags. So for the Jets and the Niners reasons, relate to the Jags. And then lastly, this is the team that I think needs to make this the most is the Packers. You guys have the space. You guys could totally pull this off. You need to save Aaron Rodgers in your relationship with him. This is easy. You could probably include Jordan Love in the trade, like I was talking about with Gardner Minshew. You could probably, again, I don't think Aaron Rodgers hates Jordan Love. I think he hates the decision to take Jordan Love because he's like, okay, cool, they're giving up on me. But you know what? All right, fine. You want to make Aaron Rodgers happy? You're shipping away Jordan Love, who I actually really like as a quarterback. You're shipping him away. So Atlanta, you like that because you're getting possibly the quarterback of your future. You're getting Julio Jones. You're not giving up too much. Like I said, you're not going to give up a 1. And it's a win-win for both teams. It's not as much as a win-win. I really like the Jags more than I think about it. But I think that the Packers are the most desperate team right now. They should be the most desperate team and should be offering the most for Julio Jones. That was fun. I spent way too long talking about that. Let's hop into what I mean for the last 4 minutes of the show. All right, so number 1. If you're new here, you'll basically figure it out. It's just essentially like my hot takes. Why can't this happen? Okay, number 1. I know the Clippers are down 0-2, and they're going to Dallas, and they no longer have home court advantage. But, why can't the Clippers figure this thing out and come back in the series? I said convincingly. It kind of tasted bad saying that. I don't know. I just think, between Ty Lue and the players who have more experience, there should be a chance that they can figure this out, and they also have the talent to figure this out. So I don't know how they will, but why can't they? Usually I can expand more upon this, but that one's just more like a tasty gross going out, so I'm not going to sit on it too much. All right, number 2. I know that the prices are fucking ridiculous when it comes to NFL tickets, specifically SoFi Stadium. Fucking ridiculous. The cheapest ticket, like I said, news of the week, $250. But with stadiums opening up, why can't the ticket prices get really cheaper and me and JP can then go to the Chargers-Pittsburgh game, Sunday Night Football in November, I think November 11th in SoFi Stadium? I'd love it. Me and JP would love to go to the Chargers-Steelers game. You tell me I got to go to LA? Hell, we'll do it a one-night thing. If the tickets are less than $120, I'm totally going. Come on. The closer we get, I just need the tickets to drop in half. I just need the ticket prices to go 50%. And they don't even have the entire stadium available for sale right now. So please, SoFi, please. I want to go to this game so bad with JP. Please let this happen. Please drop your cheapest ticket. I'll buy a nosebleed. I'll buy a nosebleed for $120. I'll do it. That's fine. Everyone says there's not a bad seat in the house. I believe it. I just want to go. Please, but I'm not paying $250 for a nosebleed. No fucking way. Please. And then the last, this one's so fucking stupid. I know this will never happen in a million years. A million years. Like, I will probably win an Oscar before this ever happens. We'll see. Doubt it, but we'll see. But I mean, with Undisputed and, possibly legal trouble, why can't the Training Camp Podcast take their spot on FS1? Couldn't even say that with a straight face. Yeah, I mean, come on. We got a good audience of, on average, like 20 viewers, maybe a comment, pretty good engagement. Like, I think it's like 10% of the people that watch these end up liking the video. So, hey, I mean, why not? Thank you guys for joining me on the podcast. I think I started to lose my energy a little bit towards the end. I don't know why. I'm not tired. I don't know what's wrong with me. It's sunny outside. I'm fully full from eating, like fully full from eating. Good job, Connor. So I don't know what's going on. So I apologize if I lost the energy towards the end of this, but that is all. Join me every single Thursday at 12:30, even though we record these on Wednesdays. So again, if you why is he talking about this? It already happened. Why did he turn to Christopher Walken there for a second? Why is he talking about this? It already happened. It didn't happen when I recorded this. Okay, this went up at 12:30 the next day. So also make sure to check out the links in the description. You guys always check those out, please. Better educate yourselves. Other than that, I'm gonna leave this podcast here, and I'll see you guys next week's podcast. See you guys later.